I think running practical sessions can be particularly challenging, especially for new teachers. It's something that you've not done before, you've not had to manage that many students, and also some of the equipment, although you know how you're going to handle it, it surprises you how students handle that equipment. I think it's important that you establish good routines with your class before you actually start doing the practical session, and don't start a practical immediately. Give it 2-3 lessons at least, so that you know you can trust them, they follow your instructions and they listen when you're talking. That's really important. So if you establish routines with the rest of the classes and you're having particular difficulty with this one class, my advice would be to hold off doing practical with that one class. So what I've done in the past is planned a theory lesson, but also planned a practical lesson, which doubles up your work, but you're going to use both lessons anyway, and then started the practical. And if I felt it wasn't safe, people were off task and they weren't listening or were not paying attention, and sometimes there's too many to remove in a particularly challenging class. So the bravest thing I think a member of staff can do is actually abandon the practical and say, right, we'll come back to this next lesson if your behaviour improves, but right now we're going to resort to doing a theory lesson. Try and get as much behaviour management experience as you possibly can. Expose yourself to those challenging situations on teacher training. Expose yourself to as many practicals as you can with as many year groups as you can. You should have the support at that point where you can ask questions, you can practice different techniques, you can try different approaches. But I think my biggest top tip, even when you go into teaching, is be very reflective, be honest with yourself and evaluate your lessons, and it's the best way to learn. So I think being a female chemistry teacher, hopefully I'm a good role model, and I do encourage the girls to not to shy away from using the practical equipment, not to be the leader in their little team, and make sure that everybody gets that hands-on experience because it builds confidence. I think one of the mistakes you make is you want to be friends with the students to try and get them on side. It never works. You're not their friend, you're their teacher, and so keep that professional relationship. I think modelling good practice is working in the way you would want your students to work and behaving and performing as you would want your students to perform. One of the things that I do well is regular intervention. I won't leave the students to just drift for a period of time. I'm always intervening, I'm always questioning, I'm always communicating with them just to make sure that they're on the right track, to make sure they understand what they're doing. And also in a practical setting, you need to make sure that they're not making any mistakes. One of the lessons I've learned is timing. You don't know how long a practical is going to take. You don't know how slow the children are going to be. And I had such high expectations. We were going to do this practical and then do the theory and then do some research. And often it doesn't work like that. Sometimes you can just about shoehorn a practical in. And it's important that you understand that.